Let's go. That's right, guys. We are live, and today we're gonna talk about the gold rush, and we're gonna, of course, talk about how Bitcoin is hopefully benefiting or not benefiting from the entire madness that is happening on the gold side. And we have to get this music under control because it's maybe potentially too loud. Yes, but let's see. And so we're gonna talk about today about how gold are, by the way, these candles over here, how gold might affect Bitcoin in the future. Is it actually, well, the chart, is it indicating that it will influence Bitcoin to the upside or to the downside or something else? We're going to figure this out. As well, we're going to talk about the price predictions from JP Morgan. They have said that gold is still to go up to $5,000, which is nice, but then this might be delayed. So we're going to talk about that as well. We are going to talk about like the entire social media, most of it. Yes, it's super bullish on the idea that gold has topped. And now the next thing that we're going to expect is that Bitcoin is going to follow with a rally itself, right? Because the idea is, or the thinking is, that whenever gold has topped the money, the profits from there will go into risk assets like Bitcoin. Let's see if that can be true or not, because I want to look at the facts, right? Morgan Stanley as well is to open crypto accounts, right, to all clients, which is awesome because that will help the narrative of the money being able to go from gold to crypto. And we're going to look at some other stuff, but let's start over here with what I just said in the beginning to look at what is gold doing, right, and how has Bitcoin reacted in the past, right? So before we get started, you need to know what you're seeing on the chart. This is a weekly chart, yeah, and you see two different assets, right? So you see Bitcoin in the orange line, and because gold would also be like orange, yellowish, right? Instead, I have the candles, right? So the candles are gold, yeah, and Bitcoin is the orange line. And before we get deep into the details, I want to add my colleague and friend Steven on stage, because today we're going to have a discussion about this topic. And yeah, let's get him on stage and see what he has to say today.
All right, what's up, guys? Happy to be here once again. Like as before, I'm really here just to help assist, and hopefully I can represent you guys as much as possible and ask Michael questions to be able to get more clear. But I'm also quite interested in all of this, of course, because let's see what happens in the near future. You know, gold, a lot of talks have been going about that. There's been all-time highs that's happened, but of course there has been a trace back recently. Is that going to come into Bitcoin? We will see.
Right, like is gold actually at the top or not? Because sometimes it looks like the top and then it's just a small correction and boom, it goes further up. So yeah, the world is not a safe place, or at least it doesn't feel like a safe place right now, which is why gold is going bananas. Yeah, but there is even more at play, right? So even more, we're going to talk about that. So let's bring the chart up and let's discuss this whole thing. So the what I see here, right? Because you know I'm a chart guy, and okay, I use trading strategies to make my life easier. We'll talk about that later. But you know, the brain still needs to understand what is happening in the market, yeah. And so most of the people on the internet, right, and that's why I'm making this live stream, because I want to share the truth and the facts, right? Most people say, hey, look, whenever gold was at the top, okay, and this chart here, what you see, this is Twitter, yeah, this is representative of most people's thinking, is that gold is at the top, Bitcoin is at the bottom, quote unquote, not exactly, but at a beginning of a rally, okay. And those are like, the problem with this, right, is that you often see just one example, right? 2020, it happened. So the same thing will also happen this time. Well, that's not really evidence, yeah? I mean, just because lightning struck in one place, it's not exactly gonna like, okay, maybe that's a bad example. You know what I'm saying, right? It's not really evidence of something repeating often enough to be considered, you know, correlation, yeah? Okay, but let's see the chart, okay? So we have here, let me see. Yeah, we have here gold and Bitcoin. So let's see, right? Whenever gold has topped, right? So gold has topped over here. You have seen Bitcoin rally afterwards, right? Okay, cool. So that is not not bad, or it's correct, let's say. But, and I know the scaling is a pain in the ass here on TradingView, but you can see that whenever here gold has stopped, afterwards Bitcoin went up. But keep in mind, this is a weekly chart, and I will tell you already that even if it's correct that happened in this particular case 2011, how long did it take actually for this rally to start, right? Because gold has stopped over here on the Bitcoin line, but then the actual rally began once it broke above this local top over here, right? So the actual rally began 300 days later, right? Okay, yeah. So, okay, even if it's correct, it's like you still have a lot of time to go if you take that top of gold, right? And yeah, but let's see what happened another time, because that's not the only top. And by the way, I would go further back, but the thing is that Bitcoin is not that old, right? So this is 2010. So yeah, can't go too far back. Gold has a way longer history than Bitcoin. And so yeah, we have only a couple of instances to look at. All right, then what we've seen is, we have seen that gold had a top over here, right? A top, like not the real top, but anyway, that did spark another rally. That is cool, right? But then we actually have a proper top here, and that sparked another rally. The good thing is that this time it didn't take that long for Bitcoin to actually follow through. So if I zoom in here, we see that Bitcoin was here, and then the rally started like maybe 60 days afterwards. So that is much better, yeah? But even then, 60 days from today, let's say this is the top of gold, which we don't know yet if this is the top. It might be. So if this is the top and we go 60 days into the future when the rally might start, and I know most people don't want 60 days, they want tomorrow. Yeah, I get it. Me too, by the way. That would be, actually it says here, that would be 22nd of December for the start of the rally. All right. So that is very interesting, right? So nobody tells you that stuff. They only like, oh, it's bullish. Yeah, but when? Okay, because if it goes down first, you can buy lower. Yeah, so instead of buying at higher prices, like as you see here, if you go back to 2011, you can see that even after gold topped, Bitcoin still went down. Like, I mean, measuring percentage here is not smart, to be honest, because this is the gold chart. So if I measure percentage, it will be measured on the scale of gold. But you get the point that Bitcoin still went further down before it even considered going up, right? So yeah, so hold your horses a little bit, yeah, and we're gonna come to a conclusion later on. Also here, it first went down and then up, yeah. So if you really care about the details, you subscribe to this channel and you watch the videos, because that's what matters, right? So and by the way, you don't even know if this is the gold top or not, right? So what I'm actually saying is the chance is very high that this is the top. Is the chance. I'm not saying it is, but then also that Bitcoin goes down a bit more to then make the rally later in December, right? End of December, right? So if that is just by looking, or if you just look at the chart and take that as your indication for the future, then that's what you have to expect, right? So Steven, let me put you back. Yes, exactly. So are you still bullish that, sorry, wrong button. Are you still bullish that Bitcoin will rally soon?
I don't know about soon, but I'm definitely still bullish that we are in the bull run. And my belief is we still have another good luck, or another good leg up. And
leg up.
That's when
chicken leg.
Good luck, good luck, and good leg up. Hey, so Riscom also had a question. He said, if these are both scales logarithmic.
Yeah, they are logarithmic right now. Yeah, exactly. You see here, so this is log, and then this other one as well. And I have another one because it's hidden. I will show you later. So all of them are logarithmic. Yeah. Okay. By the way, if I do trend lines, they should not be logarithmic. Yes, but because I don't do trend lines, yeah, it's fine. It's easier to see the pumps here.
And what about you? How are your feelings with the market right now?
Man, like that's a great question. It's a very tough market because it's a very tough market because the world it looks unsafe, right? It looks like nothing is really resolved. Like, yeah, so I'm not gonna name stuff to not get banned on YouTube or something, but there is no real resolution of all the big conflicts, In contrast, well, I might name one conflict which is not yet even broken out properly, which is the Taiwan issue with the semiconductor company. Yeah, and that can happen anytime. That's a big topic, and I think the entire gold narrative, or the entire pump of gold, right? Why it's pumping is because of that fact that the world is unsafe and weird, and there might be more conflicts coming. For example, TSMC, right? Important semiconductor producer, right? And the entire, like almost the entire world needs them. Yeah. And the problem is that you don't even need like any kind of war or something. You don't even need something bad, right, to happen between China and Taiwan. You only need some kind of blockade on the water, right, on like transportation of the chips, right, and that would cause absolute chaos, right, in the entire world.
I mean, it's a huge challenge right now. We have all of these trade wars going on, actual wars going on. Another huge thing right now is just the constant increasing, you know, especially in U.S. debt at the moment. There was another $1 trillion that was just added in the last 70 days.
M2 money supply. That's the one I have. The green line, the money line, the green dollar line. Yes, it's going up into the right. There is no stopping it. Yeah.
Except actually, I don't know. If it's so good to see it continue to rise like that.
The thing is, though, like I want to say something about the M2 money supply. So the green line, right, is the M2. This is dollar, yeah, like, and so it keeps like it's 45 degrees. This is a logarithmic chart, guys. So that means that if you have a straight line like this, it's actually a parabola, yeah. And if you have a parabola, it's actually fucking madness, yeah. Because it is here hard to show, but like a straight line on a logarithmic chart is a parabola. So it's crazy, but because it has been rising since forever, like you're gonna go here since the beginning of time of this fiat system, and it has been rising all the time, right? Like, and the thing is that, for example, gold was not always rising with it, right? So it was, and I can tell you why. It's quite simple, because gold and other assets that are like wealth preserving, or they anticipate, and so that's why it rises first in anticipation of the money supply increasing or whatever happening, and then the actual thing happens, right? So that's very important. If the anticipation is wrong, then you have a sell-off and a crash. Yeah, okay, but it was correct. So often like if the rally was very brutal in the beginning, then the money supply was rising slowly but slow. Then there was no need to pump further for gold, right? Because you already pumped. Yeah, they already have anticipated it, because market has to look into the future. It tries, but then here you see it started rising even faster. Like at some point here, you see this point here where it started coming up like steeper. Then I don't know why gold went down. I have no idea what happened there. But sorry, this was 2000, obviously 2000 crash. But still, I don't exactly know why gold wasn't like the hedge. But you can see that suddenly it started to rise again. Then it started to just consolidate, do pretty much nothing. And by the way, this is a long time here, right? This is not just a few days, right? This is 2,500 days. Okay, many years of nothing. And that's because the rally before was so long and so strong. Yeah. But then the money supply kept going up, right? And then you see, whenever you have this increase in the money supply, in the steepness, right? So you had the steepness increase here. Yeah, you have another steepness increase here. Then it has to like lead to value preserving assets like gold, even Bitcoin, in my opinion, even real estate and stuff. It has to lead to them inflating in price, because the money supply is much higher, meaning that in this case, every dollar is worth less, right, in the real world. So, but yeah, the anticipation was seemingly here, and you see what I mean? Like the market, that's why it's so weird for people, because the market doesn't react immediately to what you read in the news. And that's because the news are often late. Okay, so the news, once you read something in the news, like most people that are professional traders and institutions, they already know. Yeah, so they have already bought and they already have placed themselves in the market properly, and then it will play out with the media, with the TV, with the social media and everything. Although social media like Twitter does help for retail to be faster, but anyway, so you can see that that gold is basically definitely risk hedge. Okay, like world is unsafe, money supply is going to the moon, there is no stopping it, and all these things. And so like gold rising is quite obvious. Yeah, like I don't see any any reason why it wouldn't go up. And by the way, just to add something very very quickly here, going to the using a very simple risk not risk, sorry, what am I saying? Using a very simple trend following strategy like this one, it was very very simple to capture the rise of gold here, then selling and then buying back in here, still being invested. Like there is no trend break, or at least not in this strategy. It's here, right? So it was not that hard to capture this if you were looking, obviously, right, to that asset. If you were ignoring the asset, which many people have because it wasn't doing anything for a very very long time, and that's why people said screw that asset, right? So for example, here from 2020, right, from 2020 to basically 2024, you can be forgiven to be bored with this asset, right? I mean, I get it, yeah. And so, but then it took everyone by surprise, which is why you need to have, strategies that give you alerts so that you don't miss out, right? Just want to point out that this run was not by coming out of nowhere. You could have detected this easily. Yeah. Okay, so that's what I see right now. Okay, what's my opinion? Well, because you asked that before, yeah. What do I think will happen next? Well, in the previous live we made, I kind of mentioned already that I don't think the bull is over. I think it's a little bit delayed because of a couple of political issues that we had, which are very weird. And I don't see any signs of the crypto. I'm talking about crypto now, yeah. The crypto bull market being over. And if you want to know why and all the arguments and the charts, just watch the previous live stream that we did on that. If the bull market is over, and that is why I believe that Bitcoin will go up, obviously, but not financial advice, yeah. But I also think that this could well be the top of gold. And I also think that the bull market or this cycle is a little bit longer, not a lot. Yeah, I'm not saying it's completely different, but it's a little bit longer. Like every cycle was a little bit longer, by the way. So it's not like a new idea. Every cycle a tiny bit longer. And I think that's exactly what we need, right? To what I just said before, to summarize, like it takes gold like tops and then to start its own rally. And those are like the 60 days or something like that, 60, 70 days for it to rise. That's exactly this prolonged section that we are adding to the chart. So I'm bullish basically. But what I'm not happy about is like when people post something like this, gold top, Bitcoin bottom, because it's not true. Okay. If you actually look at the chart, whenever gold topped, Bitcoin, there was not the bottom. Okay. You see here, gold topped here, but Bitcoin bottomed here. Yeah. I don't like this kind of claims, which is completely wrong. Like here, this is not the bottom, mate. Okay. If any bottom is this one. Yeah. And this like, okay, this is nitpicking maybe, but it is because those are like 20%. And then here, we don't know yet, right? We have to wait for that one to play out. So I think that it's a good idea to not give up on the bull market, because right now I see a lot of sentiment, right? Like see a lot of people that are a bit negative towards the crypto market. They got kind of messed up in the latest crash, and they don't know what to do, and they want to chase gold, right? They want to chase something that looks good and has been strong, let's chase the strong thing. Yeah, but what if it's over, right? So my opinion, bullish, but don't give up now, right? So if you're not bullish for some reason, right, after my arguments, then you might miss out because you might look the other way, right? And then the whole thing, crypto market starts to go bananas and like, what is happening? While you're going into an asset that has already topped or almost topped, which is gold, in my opinion. So
this is probably why 95% of the people lose money in the markets, right? It's because they get faked out. We had that October 10th, we had that major crash that happened in crypto. A lot of people got wiped out, especially if they were leveraging. $20 billion got wiped out. Yeah. And now they're trying to, scavenge money together and say crypto is over, and they're trying to go for the next shiny object. And the next shiny object is the gold.
Yeah, and something, that's why you need a strategy. And because if I go back to the chart and you kind of realize that gold, I mean, if you look at gold, right, you'll be like, oh my God, let me turn off these other things and maybe turn on this. So you will see like, oh my God, it's such a strong asset. And it's this is a weekly chart, yeah. Oh my God, it's great. I should have been in this asset, but I can get in now, right? It's like it's a trap, yeah. But that's how people think. I can get in now because I learned that today is better than never, basically, right? But it's a mistake, because if you are buying the top, right, then nothing can save you. Okay, like you're gonna have a drawdown of years potentially until the price comes back where you bought it. Okay, so that is why you need a strategy to avoid this particular issue, to buy at a top. And the reason why people buy at the top, and basically what I'm saying now in this in my explanation, is do not chase an asset that has been pumping already more than it has been for many years, right? For decades, really. And the reason why they buy is because it feels good, right? It feels like, you know, in nature, in like normal life, where if you see someone succeeding, right, then you say, oh, let's work with that person. Yeah, great, because the chance is very high that the person will continue succeeding. No, okay, like, or if you see something growing, like put something in the earth, it grows, like, let's do it again, right? Great, because it grows. Yeah. But in markets, you cannot use this logic of, oh, I look at something, it works great, I have to be there now. That doesn't work, because timing matters. Okay, so if you know, you put something in the soil in like, I don't know when you put it, in spring, and it grows quickly, but then you put it, then you want to do the same in winter, you're gonna see this the wrong timing. You're at the wrong time, mate. Even if you might be correct, you're just at the wrong time. So here is the wrong time, in my opinion, to chase this asset. And this is what I see, right? That's why this is why I think people buy the top, because they chase, right? They missed it and they come and chase it. Okay. And then one more thing, just to note, like, some people buy here, it goes down, they sell here, right? And then it comes back up and they say, nah, I'm not gonna fall for the same trap again. I'm not gonna buy, or yeah, because I already made that mistake here, so I'm not gonna fall for it. Boom, it goes up like crazy, and they buy here. It is like 100%. That's what people do. Yeah. And I'm not kidding now. Yeah. This is like, I'm sure there are people watching this who did exactly this, not in gold, in whatever, any asset, right? And this is because if you don't have a strategy that tells you when the statistically best time is to get in and out, you will follow your emotions, and that's what happens, right? And funny enough, the market is made, the dynamics of the market is made to trigger you emotionally, right? To do exactly this mistake. And that's why people are, it's also called being out of sync with the market, right? Out of sync. So once you become in sync, you will feel like, oh, this is easy, not financial advice. It becomes more natural. Yeah. But if you're out of sync, you always feel like everything is against you and you will never make it, right? There's manipulation. You know what I mean? You always feel like it's a rigged game, but the rigged game is just your emotions making you do all these mistakes. Yeah.
Did you end up seeing any of those photos of the long lines of people out there buying gold?
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, it's this is the top, mate. Like, if you see something like that, I don't know if you have a photo, but I didn't have one. I don't
have it up right now. Yeah.
But just imagine a queue of people, like, but you know this queue of people on Twitter, when people say when they queue up to Bitcoin at 150K instead of at Bitcoin at 100 or 80 or whatever, and that's exactly what I was explaining. So people queue up because it's like a herd mentality, right? The herd mentality, like, if everyone is buying gold, I'm gonna buy gold as well, because what if all of them are right? I don't want to be the idiot, that didn't get it. So you are the so-called idiot. You didn't go it earlier. That's true. But if you buy it now, you are falling into this herd mentality, buying it at the freaking top or very, very close to it, right? So that definitely doesn't make sense. So you see, like, humans are herd people, like like they somehow do things together because it feels safe, right? Like, you feel like, oh, if I do the same as others, I'd be fine. Yeah. And well, that doesn't work. Yeah. So that it's very hard also to resist. It's very hard. Like, if you go to to dinner and whatever, drinks with people, and say, oh, I bought gold, I made 100%. like, fuck, I should have bought, let's do it now, right? So they go and buy it. That's it, right? Because they don't know how to analyze a chart. They don't understand. So anyway, I think that it might be true, by the way. So from my point of view, that Bitcoin can actually follow a top of gold, but we don't yet know if this is the top. Yeah. So I'm super speculating. Yeah. So if this is the top, which I think it might be, then yes, Bitcoin could rally afterwards, not necessarily because gold top, by the way. That's not like, it doesn't have to be like that. Yeah. But by the way, you can see that here, right? Because Bitcoin started going up here and there was no like top or something, like a proper top in gold. Gold didn't even play any role here, to be honest, right? But you still had Bitcoin going up like crazy. So it doesn't need to be, right? But whenever we had proper tops, then yeah, it followed afterwards. But there are many other factors, right? Like you have political topics, you have geopolitical things that can still trigger black swan events, that can happen. And that is why you need a strategy. This is why I have the cap on, yeah. And the strategy will help you to at least not miss out on a good signal, right? But then also get out if you were wrong for some reason, to protect your money, right? So if you don't have that, then you might become a so-called a bag holder, and then you might buy high prices and hold it to the bottom, right? And yeah, that's very painful. It's very useless because you can't use the money for anything because it's locked up in this asset, right? That is going down, and you need to wait for years until it comes back to where you bought. You see what I mean, right? So that's why I like to do chart analysis, because my brain like wants to get answers, but I like way more to use strategies for actual trading, because that gives me the actual the signal that I need statistically to go in and out instead of predicting what is happening.
So talking about strategies, Joe Trem did have a question. He asked, hey, do you have a strategy for gold, silver, or stocks in general?
Yeah, I mean, gold is a trending asset, right? So if you have a trend following strategy, which I mean, if I have one, yeah, then let me turn off this. Then actually it would work. Did I just say that gold is a trending asset? Well, sometimes it is a trending asset, sometimes it's a sideways asset. So you can see here. So yes, I have a strategy, but just to show you, like you can see here, this section was pretty bad. You could go in and out, lose some money. Here you made some, but mostly was like very much sideways. So you have to, I don't know what I did. I went to the weekly by accident, but you have to try to avoid this section here, right? And so what you need to have is a strategy that can capture the uptrend, avoid the sideways and the downside, obviously, as well. And as you can see here, this strategy, and this is the one that I have, this strategy here captured or detected the uptrend here, and it's still going on, right? So it's like a huge uptrend since 2023, October 23, right? So yes, I have a strategy to do that, yeah. But then again, keep in mind that gold, and I go back to the weekly so you see more data, gold is not always making you happy like that, right? There are decades where you do nothing at all, right? So you need to keep in mind that even if I have a strategy, the strategy cannot like perform or do magic, if the asset itself is not performing, right? So yes, recently went great, but there were many years where it didn't do much, right? So keep in mind that. So even if you have a strategy, you have to be patient.
Well, this is also why your strategies are really, they work so well for crypto, right? Mainly because there's so much volatility in that market. That's where you can capture so much of the gains. And if there is going to be pretty clear downward trends, it stays out of the market. And then essentially when it really starts to rise, it'll pick up as much as possible. It's not going to get the very bottom. It's not going to get the very top, but it's going to capture as much of it as possible.
Yeah. So I just switched to Bitcoin just to show what you're saying. So basically, yeah, like you see here, it turned green, and then this was time to buy, time to sell. Here, buy, sell. This was a losing trade here, by the way, because
Do you have the buy and sell signals?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I turned them off when I go to the weekly because the strategy is not made for that. But yeah, so here it is, right? These are the buy and sell signals. Right, so you can see, right, whenever there is a strong trend, it captures it, and it's awesome. Everyone is happy. But you see, like you have this nice trend here. It's great. It goes up. But then you also have this weird, whatever the hell this is, right? Yeah, maybe I shouldn't draw it. But it's like, it's pretty bad market conditions, right? So this one I understand. So this was a losing trade here. That's part of the game. But this one was this massive dump that we had recently, yeah, when everyone got, destroyed almost. I mean, almost destroyed. Some people actually lost everything. Some people lost, a lot simply. I lost a little because I don't do leverage, right? So I just basically got out to protect my downside, but I didn't lose like my portfolio or something. Like if you did 2x leverage, you might have lost everything. But back to the trend detection. So I think trend following systems are very powerful, right? Because when you have a strong trend, and so the whole point of my existence here on YouTube is to teach people trend following, because we do have a ton of assets that have strong trends. I mean, not just Bitcoin and other crypto assets, fine, but also stock assets, which I didn't prepare today. But just imagine, you have Apple, you have a long-term trend. Yeah, you have Google, you have Nvidia, you have freaking any sort of tech stock will have an uptrend if it is a good company at some point, but it will also have a downtrend, right? Like this one, where you want to get out before that happens, right? And that's why this is so powerful, because it avoids a lot of issues, right? So you can see that during the uptrend, and this is just Bitcoin, but this is true for any asset, you have this weird movements here. Like this is a very stressful moment here, or was, because the drawdown, not the drawdown, but the correction was 27%. And you never really know, is it over or not, or what should I do now, But if you have a strategy, you know exactly that you can just relax, because the sell signal was here. So there was no need to, mess with it. But it was very stressful without a strategy, obviously, because you never know, yeah? So that's why I think having a strategy is a good idea. Any strategy, really, go and do whatever. Of course, I have a couple I share with people publicly. I have some private. But the idea that I want to share is you need a strategy. There is no other way. That's why I have the cap here, yeah? And okay, so that is the trend following thing. Back to gold and everything. So I just wanted to make people aware that whenever you read, because my mission is as well to bring some more clarity, okay? Because you read social media, you think you know everything. So people will tell you online that gold is the trigger for the crypto market going up, but that doesn't make any sense, right? Because most of the gold buying comes from like large institutions, like they can, or nation states, they can actually move the market, okay? China, for example, and let's come like this. So China, for example, they bought a massive amount of gold lately, okay? Why? They bought it because they want to build this new currency for the BRICS nations, okay? For, an alternative like currency to the dollar, yeah? But they cannot use the yuan. And here's the crazy part, right? If you understand this, your mind gets like, I think your mind will explode immediately. Check this out. No, because like imagine, right? So you have the yuan, yeah? You already know it's useless because you're going to replace it with this new thing. And this new thing, though I don't know the name yet, but this new currency will be backed by gold. Okay, cool. But now this currency that is dying, I can print infinite amount. I don't care. Yeah. And I can buy gold with that stuff that is dying anyway. Yeah. I can buy gold with that. Okay. And I prop up my new thing, which will be backed by gold, which will be very stable. Yeah. Which the US cannot do, because if they inflate their currency, everything goes to shit, right? Because everyone is dependent on it. You see what I mean? Like this is like a startup having an advantage against a multinational business by being more agile and can, you know what I'm saying? Can do things that like the incumbent cannot do because it's so intertwined with everything, right? You see what, like, is your mind blown now?
I've never heard about that. And it makes so much sense. But so it's just to recap again for myself and the others out there.
Yeah, because I know you have to process this crazy shit, right?
In China, they're using the Chinese yuan to go and buy gold. They can inflate the amount of yuan that they have to go and buy gold. because eventually the
Yes.
medium to long term plan is to essentially change their entire currency system to be backed by gold, and they don't really give a shit about this yuan that is going to
Yes.
be inflated away.
100%. 100%. So there are charts like this, for example, what shows you this is China. Sadly, if I click on it, it's not going to show great, but like this is China increasing, like this is gold buying on a monthly basis. So they're buying huge amounts. Okay, they are the biggest buyers actually of gold, and they're buying it with yuan because they just can inflate it. Yeah, so it's crazy stuff. And once they have basically reached like the amount of gold they need, they can then create, like, have the BRICS nations agree that this is the new currency they all want to use because it's backed by something proper, not just by hopes and dreams. Because nobody actually, even if I had a country, I wouldn't like the yuan. What the hell? Of course not. But if you give me a new currency that is backed by gold, let's go, right? Of course. And by the way, some of the BRICS nations are also buying gold, but they just have less money, yeah, so they buy less of it. And it's like, back then when the US helped everyone out in the war and everything, like they just said, hey, if you want to be safe, you can give us all your gold. Yeah, we're gonna put it in the freaking thing, in the Fort Knox, and everything will be fine. Yeah, everyone, yeah, let's go. Yeah, and by the way, the dollar is backed by gold, so you can all relax. Okay, cool, let's go. Everyone was happy. Yeah, but at some point they decoupled, and of course it has to unwind, mate. Like if you give humans the power to print money, what do you think will happen? Okay, do you think they will be taking care of the inflation and money printing properly? No, of course not. Like, give them enough time, they will mess it up. So the whole thing, if you think about it, the whole thing is not like they're idiots, right? It's just the way of life, the way of the system. That's what it is, right? It's a cycle, right? So you start great with good ideas, you mess it up, somebody else takes over with good ideas, boom, they go up, they will mess it up at some point. Yeah, it's just a freaking cycle. You just have to know how the waves are coming and going, right? And that's why Ray Dalio is so popular, right? Because he's talking about this rising and falling of empires, and he has a book about it. It's great. So this is what we're seeing here. Obviously it doesn't happen from one week to another, which would be super obvious for everyone. Of course, that's what's happening. It takes more time, and because it's so prolonged and stretched, people's brain don't connect the dots. Yeah, but that's why I'm here, and that's why you subscribe to this channel.
All right, amazing.
Okay, guys,
quick question about that.
Yeah,
so if China is doing this, why are other countries not following suit and just doing the same thing?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So for example, M2 money supply, we don't know, right? The US might actually print the dollars to buy some gold. I don't know, because they are, I mean, nobody knows. But the US is the weirdest part of all, because we don't even know how much gold US has. Okay, what the hell? There is no audit, there is no nothing. The whole story about Fort Knox not being audited for, I don't even know, decades. And so I think other countries might, I know actually, let me show you here, other countries are doing it as well. Like for example, the European Central Bank. So this is sadly not going until today, but anyway, so you can see that there was a sharp increase in 24 of the supply. So European Central Bank's also interested in buying, right? It's just, it's just that, imagine you would print the euro to buy gold, right? And you will create inflation. Okay, yeah. And the problem is that if you create inflation in a country, or in the union, in that case, that is social and has social systems, social healthcare, pension, and all these things, you have the problem that you can't finance it anymore, right? Because you need to print more and more and more. And so, but in a system like China, where it's pretty much dictatorship, they can do whatever they like because the population can't do anything about it, to be very honest. Yeah. So you see the social pressure is different. So if in China they just don't care, they do whatever, and they print the thing to oblivion, they're not going to face as much backlash as if the exact same will happen in the US or in Europe. You will have people on the street rioting, and the French will throw Molotovs like they usually do, yeah, and put cars on fire and everything. That's normal. Yeah. but in China that's not happening, and if it's happening, you know
Mm.
how they take care of it. Yeah, so I think that's the
Hmm.
reason, because yeah, you can't be so reckless, you know, with your currency. So the US, Europe, and such countries, they are trying to take care. They can't just be irrational.
Makes
And
sense.
China also has a big plan, right? China is doing it for, that's my opinion, by the way, that's my interpretation, that China wants to build this currency backed by gold, and so they know why they're doing it, right? So they're not just destroying the money and then oops, right? But they have a plan. If Europe would do that, I don't see the plan. All right, because
Mm.
it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
they're not trying to create new alliances, they're not trying anything, right? They're just trying to survive. Yeah, so it's a weird time in the world. And to zoom out and to just summarize quickly, if you just joined now or you're wondering what the hell is this guy now, where is he leading towards, well, like, yeah, because if the world is so weird, yeah, then gold is like the obvious choice, right? Because it's
Mm.
like everyone knows it, it's clear, like the bank will respect it, everyone will respect it, you know, from the traditional finance. Even crypto people respect it if they know what they're talking about. And so that's why, you know, whenever the world is super messed up, gold we're gonna perform well. Yeah. But if you go back to the chart, let me it's not like gold will forever go up and there is nothing that can break it down. There are times when gold doesn't perform. Actually, I don't need this strategy here. Where gold doesn't perform as well, which I already showed you, sideways or down periods. This is the daily chart now, and right. So it's not like a easy play where just buy gold is going to be fine, right? Because I don't know if you remember, but everyone was laughing about people that own gold pretty much since I'm in crypto, really, because like I mean, I'm in crypto since 2013, yeah, and this was somewhere here, in here basically, right? And gold was like going down. Okay, Bitcoin was also going down, whatever, but then Bitcoin did this, and gold was like what? Like, this is nothing. What the hell? Like, I mean, what are we talking about there? Right?
Yeah.
And then, so like, I don't need gold, is stupid, whatever. And then here went up, but then if you measure from here to here in
Yeah.
Bitcoin, this was
Massive
massive.
difference.
Like, let me actually do that on another chart, because I wanna. Oh, no, I didn't close it. Sorry, because I have to measure it properly. I have to measure it on the Bitcoin chart itself to actually show you the percentages. So here it was 1,800% bottom to top. This is a lot, yeah. And on gold, it was like 74%.
Oh God.
I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
this chart is not doing justice. When
yeah,
you
exactly.
actually break down the numbers, it's true.
Right. And so that's why people are like, I don't know why. That's why basically people are joking about gold, right? Until recently, because recently, oh, and that's another chart I want to show you to actually bring the point home. So you can see this is a chart. It looks like Bitcoin, but it's not. This is Bitcoin in gold dollar value. So this is Bitcoin versus gold. Okay, Bitcoin denominated in gold. And as you can see, right now, Bitcoin is underperforming gold, meaning that denominated in gold, Bitcoin is falling, right? It's even below this pattern, which is not very nice because this is a resistance and so on. So this is important, right? So either we break into this pattern and then Bitcoin is outperforming gold again, which is what everyone expects when they are reading tweets like this, okay? Obviously, yeah. Or I just delete this and to show you the alternative, or this is resistance and gold will go higher and Bitcoin will still underperform by, for example, going sideways or going down as well, right? So, but if I look at this pattern now, it is actually looking like the second, it looks like this, right? Because we are already below the pattern, okay?
That's not very good for crypto.
That's not awesome. But of course, like I said, this can take like 60 days or something like that, right, into the future. So Bitcoin can do anything in that time. Doesn't really matter. Nobody cares. Because after that, it can still rally like mad and everyone is like, it's fine. Yeah. Because people always forget the bad times quickly. Yeah. If there is a rally. So if this actually goes down and Bitcoin suffers, it can after that come back up violently and pump. And I think that is very likely. Okay, so if so, that's, you know, is the discussion of, is the top in gold here or here or here, basically. Yeah, that's quite the question, because in that time this can do anything in between. But the question is not when, but if. And I think the if is clear. It will happen, right? I mean, there will be a time when Bitcoin will outperform gold again, because no asset goes up forever. There is always at some point of it's over. Because what? Okay, that's another thing that I have to say. Like at some point, most of the money is invested, right? Everyone who wanted gold is like has gold. You know, even China at some point says, "Fine, okay, we have what we wanted, and let's go." Yeah, and then basically the asset runs out of steam. Yes, and then it can't go further up because nobody else is coming and saying, "I will pay whatever, just give me," right? If that stops, the price pump stops as well, right? And I think that's coming to an end for gold, slowly but surely. I'm not saying today is the top, but it's very much close. But for Bitcoin, I don't see that happening, which is, I mentioned in the last video. I think for Bitcoin, there is so much more money waiting to be invested in this asset, waiting on the sidelines or being uncertain, you know, to buy now or later or whatever. And then to remind you, when people love to buy, they love to buy when prices go up, right? And that is why they love to buy gold now, because prices go up, right? And that's why you have the queues, which you said, you have the queues in front of the shops to buy gold assets. But for Bitcoin, nobody's queuing up to buy Bitcoin now, because boring, right? It goes down, the mood is bad, you know, who cares? Yeah. Of course, those are the best times to buy, because that's where the prices are cheap. Prices can be cheap only if other people don't value it that much, because then they would sell it to you for cheap price. It's logical, really, if you think about it. And so when everyone values the asset high, then the prices are high, right? So that's why it's a risk reward situation, right? That's why buying Bitcoin here around this area was very hard to impossible, because this crash was the FTX going bankrupt. Yeah, and there was very bad mood, you know, like who would have just put money there? Some people did. Congratulations, right? If you have a strategy, you would have bought it maybe here or here. That's fine, very good. Yes, great. But if you have bought it like here, like, you know, in this area or in this area, you're way too late, right? Because you were just waiting. You were waiting for good feelings for buying, but instead you should be waiting for good signals, right? That's a very, very big difference, right? You see what I mean? So that's why Bitcoin is undervalued, in my opinion, because the mood is so bad and people are not really excited. I even hear people saying, "Oh, I will sell my crypto and move it into gold and S&P 500." I'm like, cool. This is the bottom of crypto, yeah. I'm quite sure that marks the, you know, sentiment bottom, which usually marks the price bottom at the same time. So
which essentially means it could be exciting times for crypto very soon.
Yeah,
people
so
start to get quite bored and all right.
I'm very bullish. So if I go, is there a question or let me know.
Not really any questions. I did find the photos. I just wanted to show people real quick.
Yes.
So this was essentially when gold was at its peak, just about a week or so ago. You can see that the line just goes all the way back around, and
my God,
people are going.
It's crazy. Like Louis Vuitton store, yeah. It's like Chanel store, where people wait to buy handbags, but now they buy this. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's really bad. I'm sorry, guys. You're chasing the asset. It doesn't make any sense, but that's a different topic. Yeah, so I think, you know, if I look at the Bitcoin chart, for me, I mean, I'm not going to do the analysis again. I did already in the previous video, but I'm very bullish. I think there is a very good chance that we might still consolidate a little bit. It's a bit boring towards the end of the year. This section here might be boring. But then let me zoom out like this. But then this section here should be very, very exciting. I don't know how high it will go, but just so you see roughly the timeline. So in the last video, I even mentioned March, April being the top. instead of this year. I know everyone expects it to be this year, which is why it's not going to happen, right? Because that's how the market is doing, playing the game. If everyone expects it, it's already priced in. If it's already priced in, it's already, in the charts, and there is nothing else that can push it up because everyone already bought, right, in anticipation of that. And so I think that you need to be patient, right? So if you are waiting or planning to sell in December or something, that you're gonna regret that, because, right? So if if you do that, right, and then it pumps further, you sell here, right? You say, okay, I'm happy, I made some money, and then it goes like this, you will buy back here, right? Because you don't want to be the idiot that misses out the train and stuff. The usual, what we said before, yeah. So I think that just be patient, have a strategy that shows you when the music stops playing instead of predicting anything. And so I really want to urge people who have the idea of timing the market in a sense that I know the top will be in insert the time, yeah, November, December, whatever it is, right? That is a very dangerous plan. And I think that you shouldn't think in this way, because the market, like I said, always loves to fake you into doing the wrong thing. That's why most people lose money. So you need a strategy, okay? And Steven, you're still around, right? So I want to mention, by the way, if you want a strategy, then go here to signum.money/strategies or click on the strategies button, and you have Gaussian channel. Ichimoku is free, right? You can use them. I developed them to help people to have a strategy in the first place, right? Those are pretty good strategies. Of course, I cannot share the best strategies because that would be stupid. Yes. So I have my auto trading course with, in my opinion, the best strategies which are in my course, but you don't need to do that. Yeah. You can just use where is it here? The ones that I have in Signum. And Signum is a automation software. You can actually automate the signals from those strategies to trade on your exchange. So you can come here, right? You can connect any exchange that you want to use, especially the one you can use. If you're a US citizen, you can use like Coinbase, Crypto.com, also OKX, which has the best fees, right? So that's pretty cool. It's a new exchange we added recently. Anyway, so when I say you need a strategy and when I put the cap on, I'm not just saying that, but I'm also offering the solution, right? You see here, solution 1, solution 2, and the best solution 3, okay? I have it, right? Just have to use it. And those are the strategies I'm using here on my chart, and that you often see me use on the chart. And those are the ones keeping me out of trouble. Because, for example, I have to show you this because I'm very happy about this. For example, Solana, where is freaking Solana? Here. So I have a good allocation on Solana. And as you can see here, I'm like, Solana sold here and made a tiny losing trade. And I was like, meh. But then this happened. I'm like, okay, it's fine. Yeah, but you don't know. Yeah, in the moment you think like, stupid strategy, made a stupid trade, but it's part of the game, right? You need to fucking play the game. And then this happened, and now I'm happy, because if this asset is dead, I'm fine. I'm not gonna lose money. And the same is true in many other assets. I mean, ADA, I don't know which other asset, which my strategy sold here. My strategy sold here. This was also a losing trade, but a very small one, yeah. And then this whole madness happened, right? Of course, I'm happy now, yeah. But in the heat of the moment, I'm like, this is bullish. Why are you selling? Oh my God. Emotions everywhere, even in me, yeah. That's why you need a strategy. So this is very powerful, I think. And this, oh my God, I see this. You see, you want to avoid this, right? You don't want to be part of this, yes? What is this? This is for other people to endure, not you, right? Here's the sell signal. Here's the buy signal. Perfect. Like,
Michael.
So this is how I play the game. Yeah, let me know.
So if we go back to that chart real quick and we see that falling line there, a lot of people, what they say when they see something like that is, hey, why are you not shorting?
Oh yeah, I tried. I mean, so obviously this strategy, for example, any strategy I'm using personally, I've tried so many variations of them. Yeah. And I'm using the best one. Okay. And one of the variations was, what if we short? Or the other variation, what if we ease in and ease out, right? We don't buy immediately with all the funds, but we, all this stuff, a ton of ideas. I don't even have time to talk about it in this video. If you want to if you want me to talk about it, well, then let me know in the comments. But the reason why it looks like here you make money, and you do, right? Here you make money, here you make money shorting, I mean, right? Here you make money. But in most other cases where it would short, but then it was a bad idea, it would not be profitable. So you're not gonna believe it if I show you on the chart visually. Instead, if I had the strategy, I don't have it now ready, but if I had the strategy and I click on it and it does go short, you will see that it makes less profit over time compared to the one that does not go short. And I know that sounds very counterintuitive, but that's what the number shows. Okay, so I'm not shorting because it doesn't make more profit. It is riskier because I'm actually leveraged. Yeah, because if I short, I borrow the funds, right? So I would have gotten destroyed on altcoins if I did that recently, 10th of October, right? Well, no, in that case I would have made money, but I mean, in such an event, right, where the volatility is so much, I would have gotten liquidated. In that case, yeah, it would be great, but sorry, you can't predict something like this. And then also you have to be on the exchange in the most dangerous time, right? So let me remind you that shorting happens when prices go down. That's what it should be, yeah? So you would have to be in the short position for a pretty long time, okay, during the weirdest times in the markets. And that is risky, right? Because they can go bankrupt. Even smart contracts or on-chain projects can go bankrupt and stop working. And so for me, it's a bit too risky to short during these very stressful times when prices go down. And let me remind you also that when prices go down, people take their money off of the exchange, right? Or off of the, when I say exchange, you can also replace it with decentralized exchange, right? And so when money gets sucked out and put into people's wallets, there is less money remaining. And if there was any kind of issue with the supply of the funds and they're now missing, then the whole thing is blowing up, right? There is no money left, yes? And so for me, the risk-reward ratio for that is just not there. But the most important aspect is simply it doesn't make more than what you see here on the screen. Adding shorting, I know it's counterintuitive, but there are so many losing trades with the short logic built in that it doesn't make sense. And I think, to summarize it the simplest way possible, because most assets that are valuable, right, they go up and not down over time, there's another risk of you mostly being wrong, because assets mostly go up, not down. Yeah, so that's why it's better to be mostly long and less short. You know what I mean? And it's funny that it's actually called long and short, like the wording, yeah, because you go long for a long time and you go short for a short time, right? So it is true, by the way. And so it's just math, you know. It's not my opinion. I gave you a lot of arguments now why going short doesn't make sense for me, and it doesn't make sense mathematically, but also from the risk point of view. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So to answer the question of the stream, is Bitcoin, is basically, is the rotation from gold into Bitcoin happening? Well, I wanted to show this chart still, by the way, just very, very, very briefly, that you have to remember that the big money is on brokers, right? Brokers, you can trade stocks and ETFs. You cannot trade altcoins or anything, right? And crypto exchanges, you cannot trade stocks, right? I mean, yeah, don't come to me with Kraken. I get it, but like mostly you can trade Bitcoin and altcoins. That's it, right? And for this money to come here, it's not easy, right? But they don't have to come here if they can move from stocks to ETFs on the same platform, which they can, right? So BTC and ETH will benefit from this, right? Not financial advice, right? But because they are already ETFs for them, right? So the money that can move between these two, yes, that can come in, right, and go out as well. But altcoins, they have a huge problem because that money stays here and has fun, you know, drinks cocktails, and never comes here, or very seldomly comes there to play the game on the other side of the playground, you know. And this is something very new that was not there before. In the previous bull, we had everything happen here, right? And then it's fine, right? Bitcoin, like assets, money could move between them easily, yeah? So this is why altcoins are performing ultra bad. And, you know, I get the sentiment is not great. I do think that any rotation, right, from, because the stream is called like, is gold money going into Bitcoin? I think, yeah, sure. But there's more than that, right? Because there are more assets that are like safe, deemed safe in risky times than just gold. Okay, gold is one of them, but there are more, and all of those, right, coming from the safe into the risky but more rewarding assets, that it will be happening. So this rotation from like gold and like staples and all this like all this boring stuff, or like even real estate, into risk assets like BTC. I just put it here as a placeholder, really. Any kind of risk asset, even stocks, right? Even like tech stocks, it will happen. Okay, and that's not like a new idea. It's always happening. But what not going to happen is not going to rotate into altcoins. So I think that's another thing you need to keep in mind, because the money has to move from here to here, which is not easy. Okay, so that's another thing. Just keep in mind. So to answer, yeah, I do think that Bitcoin and Bitcoin, Ethereum will definitely benefit from this. Solana might also benefit from this, because there should be an ETF coming for that, right? So any coin, right, that will be on the stock market, tradable on the stock market, will benefit from this rotation. But the rotation can happen only when, and that's my final words, yeah, it can happen only when the world becomes a bit safer place, right? When the people the investors have the feeling that, okay, conflicts are getting resolved, the world is clearing up its issues, right? But right now, it's not exactly immediately happening. Tell me which conflict is resolved. I don't see any, yeah? Right? So until then, safety, take care, stuff like that. But then as soon as it resolved, and even anticipating the resolution of, right? So it's not going to wait for too long. The market is very quickly rotating into risk assets. Yes, I do think that Bitcoin will benefit dramatically. Okay, I have to say, not financial advice. But do you need to know when exactly it will happen? No, because you can use a strategy like I showed you before. Go to freaking SIGNUM.money, go to AUTOTRADING, any strategy really. Take any strategy that worked in the past, use that, okay, if you don't want to use my stuff. But that is the best way to do it, right? I can talk about this hours and hours, but that's only to entertain you guys. But the actual, solution is to have a strategy and to follow the strategy, okay? I could just not talk about it at all and just use the strategy. And that's what I do. I use the strategy. But in order to educate you guys, right, how easy it can be, I have to do the live stream. But you don't really need to follow the whole thing, like, oh, there is this news and that news and this Twitter guy says this. And who cares, right? Just have a good strategy, put it on the chart, follow, that's it. Over many years, it will play out well if it's a good strategy, okay? So that's what I believe in. And that's why I'm pretty relaxed. So even if I'm not, correct about now being the top of gold, okay, it's fine. I'm following my strategy. It will tell me anyway when there is a good time that is probabilistically best for getting back into assets. By the way, I'm not invested into any crypto right now because my strategies were selling, yeah, and I'm now safe. So if the whole market collapses, I can still be fine, right? That's important.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean,
guys.
that's huge. Real quick, just to give you my story, before using the strategies that Michael has, that was essentially what I was feeling. I was rushing around trying to find the news, what's going on in the crypto market, what's happening in the world, to see when I can get in, when I'm supposed to get out, and it was just chaos. And ever since I started using the strategy, and just like Michael said, it has its buy signals, it has its sell signals. And once you really trust it and allow it to run, regardless of what's happening in the world, it allowed me to just chill. It's like, wow,
yeah,
this stuff is going on. Okay, let's see what the strategy does. Is it going to keep going? Is it going to sell? Is it going to buy? And just let it run. And so far, it's saved a lot of emotional energy for me. That's a huge
thing. I mean, it's such a game changer, and we should do another stream about that. I see we have a lot to say because I wanted to do half an hour. It's 1 hour again because I talk too much. I'm sorry, guys, but I want to share with you everything. And here, yeah. So go to SIGNUM if you want to see the strategies that I showed you here. Just have fun, whatever. Like, use them, put them on the chart. You see everything. The cool thing is that you see everything. It's not a black box. You can see every trade. You can decide if you like it or not. Go to AUTOTRADING VIP if you want a ready-made system that works for many years, fully automatic for automating your portfolio. That's another thing. But definitely you need to do something, right? Because you can't just, predict or pray to God that you know what's going to come next. Nobody can predict the future. That's why I need a strategy. And with all of that, I see you next time. Like, subscribe, and come to Telegram if you have more questions. Bye-bye, guys.
Right. See you.